Hello, I'm Janelle Shalla. I'm a master crystal therapist and a general natural practitioner.
Well, hello there, Janelle. My name is Purple Dan, master coffee drinker and veneered rock hitter.
I'm here to give you a little bit of information on using crystals. This is from an introductory level at this point. We're going to do these videos in a series. So this is the first of the videos. This is on how crystals work. Many people have an idea that crystals actually, and the idea of crystal healing came in during the 1980s as part of the New Age movement. And so it has this kind of fluffy reputation.
Yeah, crystals are rather special. It's unreasonable to think that no one from the ancient times would have thought that these things are somewhat not special and not powerful. They're geometric in shape. The colors are also bright, which is rather strange in nature to have something this geometrical. So the ancient people might have thought this is sort of powerful or spiritual in a way.
But in fact, it's actually one of the oldest forms of healing. It goes back at least 7,000 years, probably much older than that.
Well, you're right. These crystals have been found in ancient burial grounds more than 6,000, 7,000 years ago. Which probably does mean that they used them for some sort of power or healing.
I'll talk a little bit about the history in another video. But there are other things about crystals that give us an idea of how they might work.
How crystals work? We already know. There's a science called crystallography where we actually study the crystalline structure of these minerals. I somehow doubt you're going to give us a proper lecture on crystallography. I think you mean how to use these as tools. The ancients used them as tools, yes, as arrowheads and knives, depending what type of crystal it is. You're not going to talk about that, are you?
Crystals form in a different way molecularly than other solid objects.
That's not entirely accurate, Janelle. A crystal is a material of which its constituents are arranged in a highly ordered manner. You get things like crystals, like this rosy quartz here and this piece of feldspar here, which have a very highly ordered structure. You get polycrystals, such as this lump of granite here, which is just really small crystals lumped together to form a rock. And you get amorphous solids such as glass and obsidian, which have no real structure. During the cooling of material, the atoms or molecules can interact with each other and then solidify into shapes, creating a crystal. If I take two materials, for instance aluminium and glass, and I both heat them up until they reach their melting temperature and then allow them to cool back down again, the aluminium will form miniature crystals, forming polycrystal, and the glass will simply just stay glass. It's amorphous, it wouldn't form any crystals. That's the same process, same heating up and cooling down, but producing two different types of solids. It's due to the atoms and molecules themselves. Now, you can extend this process to obsidian. Obsidian is just magma that's been cooled down rapidly, forming an amorphous shape with no crystalline structure because crystals didn't have enough time to grow out. If you give that obsidian enough time to cool down in an insulated environment, something like this could form, a granite, which is a rock, or what some people classify as being a polycrystal. It depends on the cooling and the way it cools down and the molecules themselves. Crystals are not special because they have this arrangement. It does not give them any sort of significant power or any sort of different attributes. It's simply the structure that changes. So saying that they form molecularly different does not make any sense.
So for example, in most solid objects, the atoms and molecules move around quite freely.
What? No, solids are solid. The atoms and molecules can't move around in them. Do you mean electrons? I'm pretty sure you mean electrons. And even if that's the case, they are crystalline metals and electrons are free to flow around in them as well. You should do your research before you say these things on the internet. Otherwise, people like me will call you out on it.
With crystals, because they form under a great deal of heat and pressure.
That's not accurate at all. You get crystals forming in lots of environments, in really high pressure, low temperature environments, really high pressure, high temperature environments, and just normal, plain old group temperature environments. You're meaning a very specific case of crystals. For instance, metamorphic crystals. Garnet, for example, requires a lot of pressure and a lot of heat to actually crystallize out from already rock matter. Sure, that's true, but not all crystals.
They will form very, very concise shapes. So for example, this is a molecular model of a diamond. They're all little carbon atoms joined together in a very, very symmetrical shape.
Okay, I'm pretty jealous. That's a pretty cool plastic model of a crystal. Regardless, diamond forms under a lot of pressure, yes, but not under a lot of heat. The only place diamonds can actually form is under thick cratons with the right material underneath to actually form diamonds from. Usually like carbon or graphite. Now, if it's a normal crust and it undergoes metamorphism, the heat rises and the pressure rises as well. The pressure is there to form the diamond, but the heat will actually burn a carbon away into something else and mix with something else before the diamond can actually grow.
In fact, from an electron microscope, you can actually see this shape from the same molecular model. This isn't a molecular model, this is a diamond. I also have a molecular model here of a sodium chloride lattice. In this, you can see that the sodium is the little purple dots, represented by the purple dots, while the green represents the chloride. This is a salt crystal. Salt crystals form cubically.
Okay, yeah, she's correct. Yay for science. That's entirely correct. Although, just one nitpicky thing. If you want to sound like a badass geologist, don't call it salt, call it halite.
But the incredible symmetry that you get with these molecules, these crystal lattice formations, on a molecular level, they define what the crystal will look like as it grows.
I was just about to comment on the fact that she's actually correct, and then she put up that screen. Yes, obviously, this is how it works. First you promote that the crystals will help you, and you make people want your crystals, and then you sell it to them. Money. There we go. That's probably the drive why she does that. I'm pretty sure it's because of the money.
So this is a quartz crystal having 6 sides. It forms under a great deal of heat and pressure, and the pressure forces the molecules together to form this lattice.
That's not entirely accurate. Looking by that, it's a really nice clean quartz crystal which formed in a hydrothermal fluid. Yeah, high pressure, high temperature. The only problem is that you're saying that the way you're saying it is that there was a rock that was forced into that shape, which is not accurate. It's actually grown. It precipitates out. The silicon and oxygen precipitates out, growing that crystal from scratch.
Because of this, it has a very strong and measurable electromagnetic field.
A strong electromagnetic field in a crystal? Let's check it out. Okay, so you have a little current and voltage meter that uses electromagnetic field to produce or a current inside, which will tell you the amount of volts going through something. And here is a little andesite crystal. Nothing. Here is a fibrous sillimanite crystal. Nothing. Smoky, rosy quartz. Nothing. Okay, well, it's pretty pointless in trying to measure electromagnetic field of a crystal. Electromagnetic field requires moving electrons. It requires a current. If there's no current moving through a wire, it will have no electromagnetic field. Crystals have no moving current through them, so they will also not have electromagnetic field. Where you people get this idea of electromagnetic field just boggles the mind.
There are also some other electrical properties that quartz has. For example, if any pressure is put on it, it will create an electrical impulse. This is called piezoelectricity. Electrical impulse will pass through the quartz in a very specific direction. That's why they're used in keeping clocks and watches accurate, and also silicon, although it's now manufactured artificially. Silicon is used in microchips in computers for the same reason of this transmission of energy.
Okay, sure, piece of electricity, it's a thing. Silicon electronics, also a thing. But we're talking about crystals healing people. Get to that, please.
So for me, I believe that it enhances any kind of healing through transmission of energy, and the strong electromagnetic field will have an effect on the body's electromagnetic field.
Okay, sure, so finally you made your point. Electromagnetic field from a crystal interacts with the electromagnetic field from a human, and that somehow increases the potential of healing. Now, what is that healing you're speaking of? Sure, I can say that, sure, that is true. Maybe there is an electromagnetic field we can't actually test with equipment between a human and a crystal. Maybe that exists. But you cannot prove that is any sort of increase of healing. Besides, what do you mean by healing? Is it the regrowth of bone? Regrowth of skin that's been torn? What is healing in your opinion? If you extend this to spiritual healing, then fine. I won't go on and on about that, since spiritual things are the paranormal. It's outside of nature. And I have no interest in anything outside of nature. But when you try to use healing to heal people, and specifically dangerous diseases or even cancer, that is where I'll get pissed off.
In addition, in crystal healing, we also use the elemental energy of the crystals. So for example, when I'm speaking of elements, I mean elements in the periodic table in chemistry.
As opposed to the other elements not on the periodic table of elements?
So we would use a calcite crystal to help bone formation and reforming when the bone has been broken.
Okay, seriously, woman, stop distracting me with that crystals. This is my calcite crystal. Look at it, it's puny. Anyways, no, calcite crystal apply to skin and bone and it will increase. No. How does that happen? I don't feel anything strange. Maybe it's because I don't believe that it's going to happen. Maybe I need to believe before it can happen. There's an easy way to change my mind. Show that this works. Run it through some tests, run it through some science, show it works, and I'll believe you. Hell, I'll promote crystals with you. But you can't prove that. So.
In addition to this, we also use the color frequency of the crystals, but I will go into that a bit more later.
So that brings us to the end of this video, Skeptic Squids. She says there's going to be more videos in that series, and of course there's going to be more videos in this series as well. Debunking crystal healing. Now Janelle, if you're actually watching this, I really want to know why you promote crystal power. Do you really think it'll help people? Or is it or is it for the money? I'm pretty sure it's for the money, but sure, make your argument. The only problem I have with any sort of crystal healing and any sort of crystal energy is when people try to supplement real medical procedures with crystals instead. Like, let's go for an antibiotic shot. No, let's use a crystal instead. That's dangerous. You're going to get someone or yourself killed. Okay, if you kill yourself. Sure, that's your own problem. But if you promote this to other people, especially children, and they die because you give them crystals instead of some actual medicine, in my honest opinion, you are the one that is evil. Not me being an arsehole. Enjoy the rest of your days, guys.